All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third and final fall housing webinar with University Residences Move-In Edition. My name is Frances. I go by she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm going to be your host this evening. I'm a student employee working in the admissions office here at Western Washington University, and I'm also a third-year double majoring in communication studies and sociology, and I also lived on campus my first year in Kappa. I definitely had a positive experience moving in my first year and hope you all get to have the same experience too. So I'm joined by members of the Housing Move-In Committee who are here to answer many of the questions that you have about moving to your new home here in the fall. Move-in is certainly going to be a little different this year, but Western is doing its best to prepare you for a fun and safe move-in experience. Before I begin introductions, whether you have questions about the move-in process, the move-in app, what to bring, or any other questions about the big day, please begin compiling your questions in the chat. We will address as many questions as we can in the next hour and a half or so. And with that, let's not waste any more time and meet our panelists. For questions that we don't get to, Housing will post all of the questions asked today and their answers on their website at housing.wwu.edu. Let's start off with our conferences coordinator and move-in co-chair, Katie Lenning. Katie, please introduce yourself and tell us your favorite part about move-in.
Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Lenning. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a program coordinator here at University Residences. My favorite part of move-in is seeing all the new faces and seeing new connections being made right before my eyes and new friendships happening and starting to grow. And it's always just a fun, happy, fast experience, and I'm excited for another year.
Thank you, Katie. Up next, we have the other move-in co-chair and Residence Life Associate Director, Vicki Vanderwerf. Vicki, tell us what you like best about move-in.
Yeah, so Vicki Vanderwerf, she, her pronouns. What I like best about move-in, I think, is just seeing the friends, parents, families arrive with students to send them off on their college adventure, their college career. It's always a bittersweet moment, exciting, but sometimes really, really sad at the same time to let their student go. But really, really like to see those moments.
Awesome, thank you. Liam Carey Eves is the Marketing Communication Lead for Housing. Liam, please introduce yourself and let us know what your favorite thing about move-in is.
Hey everybody, I'm Liam Carey Eves, he, him, his pronouns. I think that my favorite piece about move-in is you'll usually on a normal year, you'd find me walking around with a photographer and capturing all of the emotions, whether there's a mixture of, it's sad and happy about this like transition, this next step. And I love being able to capture those moments. Unfortunately, we aren't going to have a photographer out there. So this is my shameless plug for everyone to follow us on Instagram, share your story, tag us. We're going to be relying on a lot of your content and that will feature on our Instagram. And so I can't wait to see that story. That's what I'm looking forward to most.
Thanks, Liam. Dave Rebel is our Conduct Officer and Case Manager for Residence Life. Dave, what do you like most about move-in?
Thanks, Francis. So I'm Dave Rubel, and I am the Conduct Officer, Case Manager. And this will be, I think I figured out, my 22nd year at Western with Move-In. And so I think my favorite thing is just the energy that the new students bring, and then definitely is an opportunity to meet parents. This year, for the first time, I'm also in your same shoes. I dropped my oldest son off at college about a month ago. So I'm experiencing it from the other side as well, and just really looking forward to your arrival.
Great, thank you. Jeremy Honey is our Food Service Director for the Viking Commons. Jeremy, what is your favorite part of move-in at Western?
My favorite part is watching all the energy on campus change from the summer when typically it's slower. Right now it's empty, and watching campus fill up. It's really exciting, and it's fun for all the staff on campus to have our students back.
Awesome, thanks, Jeremy. Last but not least, Christian Urcia is an Assistant Director for Residence Life who oversees North Campus. Christian, what is your favorite part about move-in?
I think I'm last, so I'm just gonna say all the above because I think everyone already took mine. But I want to reiterate what Dave says is that This year specifically, we haven't had students on campus for quite a bit since probably our spring quarter began, because that's when the pandemic started. So I really am really excited to get back students on campus because the energy that you all are going to bring, not only to the university, but also our Bellingham area. Like I know of our local businesses are really looking forward to a lot of our students coming back to town and the city because you all really do bring that energy. So even really excited to have you all back.
Awesome. Once again, thanks for all the panelists for coming, and as well as those who are tuning in. We'll be moving on to questions now. Don't feel free to send a question into the chat below. But for the first question, this will be going to Katie. So where do I arrive during my scheduled move-in time?
Yes, so that is the first thing you're going to do is go to one of our staging areas. We'll have a South Campus staging area A in what's known as the commuter lots or the C lots. And we will have a ton of signs on campus pointing you the way there. The South Campus staging area is for folks living in Burnham Wood, Buchanan Towers East, or Fairhaven. And you'll go there to start the process. And after you complete that, you will then go to your hall to unload. So go to the staging area first. The North Campus staging area will be in the lot 3R, which is all the way the furthest north tip of campus, just past Eden's Hall. And we also have signs pointing the way there as well. And that is for all the rest of the halls, which are Eden's North, Higginson, Mathis, and Nash. You go there first and then proceed to unload your car at the hall.
Great, thank you, Katie. The next question will be going to Liam. When will we know when and how we arrive to campus?
Yeah, that's a great question. Katie just went over how you would arrive. The maps have just been created hot off the press, and we will be posting that sometime, hopefully tomorrow, and we'll have specific step-by-step directions on how to arrive at that staging area that will take you through, that you'll just kind of you'll get in line, and then we'll help you, as Katie said, take you right through the process. That will be coming online again tomorrow, and then we'll send out a reminder over email next week.
Awesome. Next up, we have Christian. So someone's asked, how do I get my keys on move-in day?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you move in during that Thursday to Monday and you scheduled your time, you're actually gonna get the keys at the same location as a central check-in. We're gonna hand you your key packet with all of your keys, and that's gonna be what you'll need to move on to your residence hall.
Great, thank you. The next question will be going to Vicky. So what happens if I haven't scheduled my move-in time?
Yeah, so you definitely want to schedule that. Get on the move-in app and just log in and schedule your move-in time. We're asking that residents sign up for move-in time by Sunday night, just so we have correct numbers for each day and can plan accordingly. But you definitely want to sign up. If you don't sign up, we'll be giving you a little phone call next week to remind you to sign up. And just to check in, just to make sure that you don't have any other questions, but definitely encourage you to sign by Sunday at midnight.
Awesome. For the next question, we'll be going to Dave. So someone asked, do me and my family members have to wear a mask when moving our items into our residence hall?
Yes, we are asking that when everyone and anyone is on campus, and that includes our staff that'll be there as well, we'll all be wearing masks. And just for the protection of everyone, and just to make sure that we have both a safe move-in environment and we're really setting the precedence for how we're going to move forward in fall, that everyone will be wearing masks. So, and if for some reason someone loses theirs or something like that, we will have places where someone could pick up a mask to use as well.
Great, thank you. The next question will be going to Jeremy. So what is going to be open on move-in day?
Great. So depending on which move-in day you're moving in on, there'll either be 1 or 2 dining halls open. It's either going to be Fairhaven or it's going to be Fairhaven and Ridgeway, Fairhaven and Viking Commons. And that information is going to be posted on our website on Monday. We're in the process of finalizing that by day.
Great. The next question will be going to Christian. So someone asked, I can only bring my mom on move-in day. Will my mom be able to help me move in, or will she have to stay in the car?
So we are asking folks to stay with their car so that we're ensuring that you're not getting ticketed. So unfortunately, if you are bringing just your mom, then it would only really be you moving in and out of your belongings. But if I have gotten that wrong, I encourage any of my panelists to correct me. Has that changed, or that's still correct? Great, looks like it's still correct. Okay,
That's
yes.
still correct, but I would say just check in with the hall building too once you arrive. If there's not a lot of people there at the time, or if we have a space for you to park your car not in the unloading zone, it's possible we could have you park there for 30 minutes. So just check in with the hall staff. Everybody's gonna be wearing blue t-shirts, Western Welcome t-shirts. So you can check in with somebody when you first get in. You'll be able to see us in those blue t-shirts. Anybody can help you out, and just ask then, and we'll see if we can make that work.
Thanks, Vicki.
Awesome, thanks, you two. The next question will be going to Katie. How many people can help me move in?
Yes, so we're asking to have no more than 2 people help you move in. So what that would mean is help you unload your things. And this is to reduce crowding in the buildings and better promote social distancing. So please limit that. So even if you happen to bring another person in the car, have one person stay with the car and no more than 2 folks up in the room with you to get your things up there.
Great. And for the next question, we'll be going to Christian. Will there be any events during move-in week?
Yes, we're really excited that we are hosting events like we usually do, but in a new format because of social distancing limitations. Something to make note is that Whatcom County, we're still in phase 2, which means that we're not allowed to have groups of more than 5. And so most of our events are going to be held virtually. And your first event that you'll go to on the day of your move-in is going to be your floor meeting. And it's a great opportunity to meet your RA and other people who are living in your surrounding areas. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. And there's just other events that are on campus in our virtual format. One of my favorites is our Paint Bellingham Blue for WW. And you're going to be able to see like a virtual fireworks show. And as a residential student, you have the opportunity to decorate your door for an opportunity to win some really cool prizes. So that's in partnership with our Alumni Association. So I would not miss that one out because that's a really cool one to go to.
Thank you. For the next question, I'm going to open this up to both Dave and Vicki. So someone asked, how many students will be in the dorms, or what percentage of freshmen will be in the dorms?
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was going to say you may have the more exact numbers. The last ones I saw that were right around 1,000 students total be in the resident halls, which is we have about a little over 4,000 spaces. So about a fourth of our halls would be open. I don't know, percentage is a good question of freshmen that'll be living in. I know that we have just about a little over 700 freshmen that will be living in out of the 1,000 that we have, but I haven't seen the numbers on the freshman class this year. I think that'd usually be about, maybe 700 would be about a fourth or so of the freshman class. Is that right?
Awesome, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Katie. So someone asked, I have an assigned move-in time. Is that the time to arrive at the dorm, or is that the time to go to the health center for the COVID test?
Great question. So the move-in time is your arrival time on campus. And the first step when you arrive on campus is to go to the staging area. And there you will be tested for COVID-19 and also get your keys. So that is the time that you'd want to arrive at that location, and then you'll unload after. And we are going to be processing everyone as fast as we can to do our best to keep up with the schedule. But it is a new process for all of us, so do bear with us as well as we work through everybody.
Awesome. Up next, we have Vicky. So this will be a two-parter question. So the first part is, do parents have to get tested prior to move-in? And the second part is, and can both of our parents come up with us to our room?
Yeah, so parents do not need to get tested prior to move-in. It's only any student moving into the residence halls need to get tested prior to arrival. So parents do not. However, we do have, it's called a health attestation form. It's really a health survey, health screening for COVID-19 to identify if you have any symptoms. It's a visitor form that we have all visitors to campus fill out throughout the pandemic. So you'll be hearing about that. You'll be getting an email about that in terms of how to fill it out, but it's pretty quick and easy. So you just want to complete that the day of or the day before you arrive. And then the other piece of the question about coming to your room. So yes, so both your parents can come to your room. We do ask that one person stays in the car while you're unloading. So for about 30 minutes or so to unload. So we ask that if possible, one person stays with the car. But then after that, you can park your car and we'll show you where to do that, where you can do that longer term for more than that 30 minutes. And then both your parents are definitely welcome to go up to your room.
Great, thank you. The next question will be going to Liam. How will we be notified about any last-minute move-in changes or information?
That's a great question, Francis. So as we know, this during this time, it's a constantly changing environment. And we do use email as our official mode of communication. So honestly, consistently check that email. I often have my email forwarded to my phone. That's another option. So I would just please do before your move-in day, during your move-in day, check that email, make sure there's no updates. That is how we will get a hold of you. And that's how we'll get a hold of you throughout the year too. So it's a really good habit to get into. Check that email.
Awesome, thanks. The next question will be going to Christian. Are candles allowed in the dorms?
So the quick answer is no. Candles and incense are not permitted in the res halls because they are a potential fire hazard. We do recommend that if you want to have something smelling good in your rooms, like those Glade plugins or anything. But if you do need to have candles to observe religious purposes or any other function, you'll need to get express permission from your resident director, who is your live-in professional who's in charge of the RAs. So we definitely allow that on a case-to-case on permission basis, but generally it's a no.
Awesome, thank you. The next question will be going to Jeremy. When will the dining halls be open?
Great. Viking Commons and Fairhaven Commons are opening for full regular hours operations starting on Sunday the 20th for dinner. If you're moving in prior to that, there will be dining hall options that will be posted on our website on Monday.
Awesome, thank you. We'll be going to you, Vicky, for the next question. So someone asked, when can I expect a billing statement that includes housing and dining costs? Right now, my Western account online only shows tuition and fees.
Oh, good question. I do not have the exact date for when billing is going to go out. I know it's soon and around move-in time, which is coming up really quickly next week. So it'll definitely show up on your student account. I don't have the exact date, but it is going to be within this next week. I don't know if anybody else has the exact date for that. Maybe not.
I don't have that exact date, but it will be posted to your student account before tuition and fees are due on the first day of classes.
Awesome, thank you. We'll be going to Dave for the next question. Does Eden Hall have a broom and vacuum available for students to use?
Yeah, so we will have, and you would do that at your, and correct me if I'm wrong if there's any changes on this, but brooms and vacuums are available from the, to be able to be checked out at the front desks in those areas. Those will be cleaned and sanitized periodically as well. So, but you would basically just bring down your ID and they have a check system there to be able to check that out for you.
Awesome.
It is also helpful if you don't have to bring your own vacuum, but sometimes a small broom and things like that is helpful so that you don't have to wait if someone else is borrowing it.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Dave. The next question will be going to Christian. Does Eden's Hall have both heating and AC?
We do have heating in Eden's, but we do not have air conditioning. And just to clarify, all residence halls do not have air conditioning, but have heating. So, and that's actually most buildings on campus. It actually doesn't get that hot in Bellingham. I would say today is a little warm, but we're only on like high 70s, low 80s. So it's not really that bad. And by the time you get here, you're gonna like be entering really good weather. So.
Great, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Katie. So someone asked, once we unload with the 30 minutes max limit, is there a time limit once we have the items in the room, as long as there's only 2 people plus the student in the room?
Yeah, good question. So once you've gone to the staging area and complete the process there, you'll do your unloading, which is 30 minutes. We try to keep everyone strict to that time, just because we have other folks that need that unloading spot. But after that 30 minutes, you move your car to a visitor lot. We'll show you where that's at. There'll be folks you can ask as well and signage up. And after that, there's no time limit. So you can go back to the room, set it up, take as long as you need, and you can still bring up to 2 people to help you do that. So they can help you configure your room and get everything just the way you like it.
Awesome, thank you. Next up, we have Jeremy. So someone asked, where can we use dining dollars on campus? And can you also explain Viking dollars as well?
Sure. Dining dollars come with your meal plan. They can be used at any of our dining locations that are open on campus. Viking dollars are purchased independently of a meal plan or in addition to a meal plan, and they can be used at the same locations.
And what locations on campus can you use the dining and Viking dollars?
So the locations that we're going to have open during the fall right now are scheduled to be Fairhaven Commons, Viking Commons, and the Haven Pod.
Awesome, thank you. Next up, we have Liam. So someone asked, where do I get my WW school ID?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do encourage everyone who's asking about separate departments, such as, as Western Card and at the bookstore, to check their websites to see their process about what they're going to offer in terms of curbside and virtual programming as well. I do know that Western Card is taking online orders, and they'll be able to mail your Western Card directly to your room. Again, do check out their website. They'll have that process, that 3-step process, which I don't want to fumble over, so I'm not going to repeat. But do go over that 3-step process on the Western Card office, and they'll walk you through.
Great, thank you. We'll be going to Katie for the next question. So someone asked, if I missed the Move-In app, is it okay if I send packages, even large ones like a mini fridge, to the front desk of my hall?
Yes, so right now with our mail process, what you want to do is send your packages no more than a week in advance of your arrival. So we're getting real close to move-in. Make sure it arrives sometime next week and no earlier. And those packages will be available at your hall front desk. And you'll get an email, again, your Western email, so it's another reason to check that, when that is ready to pick up. And the front desk hours will be posted at the desk itself, so you can head on down there and get your package. And the front desk will also is where you get all your mail, so they'll also be able to help you use your mailbox and get set up with that, so that you can also receive more mail from your family and anyone else that is sending you things throughout the year.
Great, thank you. The next question will be going to Vicki. When will the visitor health survey be sent out?
It should be sent out. It's going to be sent out really close to move-in day. The university is finalizing that visitor process, so that's why you haven't received anything yet. So right before your move-in day, probably the 15th or the 16th, you'll hear from us. But it's really quick. It's just a link. You'll be able to look at it on your phone. Just filling it out. It probably will take less than 10 seconds. So nothing to worry too much about. But you'll see that really close to when move-in starts next week.
Awesome. The next question will be going to Jeremy, and this is in regards to the dining dollars again. So can dining dollars be used at cafes, markets, and other independent dining areas on campus? For example, the Panda Express.
Yeah, so dining and Viking dollars can be used at any of the dining locations on campus. However, the only locations that are going to be open at this time during the fall are Fairhaven Commons, Viking Commons, and the Haven Pod.
Great, thank you. The next question will be going to Dave. Can we still adjust our class schedule in the first week of classes?
Actually, I'm not completely sure of that. I don't know if anyone else is more on board with some of the academic pieces there.
And I actually did used to work in the registrar's office, so you will be able to change your classes. I do believe that all of that is going to be remote. In the past, you would have to go in person to the registrar's office. Again, another useful tool. Just go to registrar.ww.edu, and they'll have more information about changing your classes.
Thanks, Lime.
Awesome. So for the next question, we'll be going to Katie. So we've just been getting a lot of questions about move-in as a whole. So can you just walk through how the process will work when we arrive?
Yes, so what you'll be doing is you'll first go to your staging area, either on North Campus or South Campus, depending on your building. And those again for South Campus, those are for Fairhaven, Burnham Wood, Buchanan Towers, and Buchanan Towers East. And for North Campus staging area is Edens, Edens North, Higginson, Mathis, and Nash. And once you arrive there, you will first check in with the health center, and they will verify that you have previously submitted a negative COVID-19 test. So everyone has been starting to submit those, which is great. And I encourage anyone who hasn't to do that as soon as possible. And the student then will also be screened for COVID-19 on site there by the health center. They have medical professionals out to perform that test and get results back in about 24 hours. After that, you'll roll on by to our housing tent where you'll get your keys and a welcome bag full of lots of goodies, including a face mask and hand sanitizer. There's some coupons. It's a fun bag to get welcome to campus and the greater Bellingham area. And after that, you'll proceed. You won't have to leave your car at all. We encourage everyone to stay in their vehicle. And after that, you'll proceed to the hall, to one of the unloading zones, and staff will point you where that's at. And you'll have 30 minutes to unload. Try to keep one person with the car at all times, just in case we do need you to move or have any other reason to ask you any questions. And have no more than 2 people help bring things up to the building. And after that, you'll go ahead and move your car to one of the visitor lots. And the staff, again, will point that out. There's signage for that as well. After that, you can head back and set up the room. So actually unpack everything and make sure it's set up just how you like. And there is still a rule of no more than 2 people in the room at that time as well, just to help maintain social distancing and keep kind of down the population density in the building. And we do need everyone to wear a mask all during that whole process. We'll be interacting with staff, both at the check-in portion in the staging area and also at the hall, and be interacting, of course, with other students and other team members. So we want you to be wearing a mask all during that time, and also to maintain social distancing, both outdoors when you're unloading and of course in the halls as well. And we have, if you have questions about the process that day, all of the university staff members for housing will be wearing a blue t-shirt. So ask someone in the t-shirt and they will help you out, or if they can't help you out, they will find an answer for you. And so if you run into any problems, there's always someone to ask.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For the next question, we'll be going to Christian. Are trash cans provided in dorm rooms?
Yes, we do provide 1 trash can per room. You'll also get a blue recycling bin, and you'll also get a compost bin for food waste or compost purposes. We're a very green aware campus, and we have a lot of sustainability efforts that have actually been started by our students on campus, and that is a new initiative as of like, this is our 2nd or 3rd year that we've provided compost bins for every residential room. So you get all the above.
And Christian, just so folks know, is there's actually 2 garbage cans. So one, well, actually that'll be interesting this year. It may end up being just 1. Normally we would have 2 garbage cans in there, so I'm not sure if our facility staff has eliminated the 1 or not.
At least 1, and then garbage bags can be found at your desk. So we also provide garbage bags too, but you definitely at least get 1. Thanks, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you. The next question will be going to Liam. How can we get parts/razors to loft beds halfway up?
Yeah, so the campus standard for bed configuration is going to be high singles, and that is actually going to be the only option that's going to be available this year. We are transitioning away from bed parts, so we're hoping that in the future you'll be able to loft your bed and make it as low as you want. But for this year, unfortunately, we are going to be able, you're only going to be able to have that high configuration. It's about 31 inches to 33 inches, depending on where you're at. So you'll have plenty of storage underneath your bed, and you'll have plenty of room in your room. As you all know, you're only going to be single occupancy for fall quarter. So you'll have plenty of space for sure. And yeah, that's all I've got on bed parts.
Awesome, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Dave. If we have to take 2 cars to move-in day, how will that work if they both have stuff in them?
Yeah, so this is a good question. It might be a jump in for multiple people as we've done the planning on this. We are asking at this point in time that you try to get everything in 1 vehicle so that when you have 1 car that goes through the process. If you have a second car that has belongings in it, we're just going to have to determine how many people are in line waiting, and we might be able to work with the staff that's there to get a second car in. If there's quite a few people, you may have to end up parking one of the cars in a long-term lot until we can get that second car in, though. We really do want to work with you and know that that this is sometimes the case. We are really recommending, though, that you limit how much stuff that you bring this year. So, and I think we put that information out. Things like futons or couches, larger items, we're really asking you not to bring this year. But again, just make sure you touch base with staff, and we'll do everything we can to help you get your belongings in.
Great, thank you. The next question will be going to Katie or Vicky. Are there going to be any tools/assistants available for us to use? So for example, dollies?
Yes, we will have tools to help move your things. You won't have to carry everything in your arms. The front desk will be available to check out dollies. And we will also have available at some of the halls larger move-in bins that can be filled up, and they're really handy. They can get you in and out in just a couple trips. So if you can snag one of those, that can help you move in a lot faster as well. So we will, the answer is yes, we'll have those available, and you can ask staff about availability once you arrive.
Awesome, thank you. Next up, we have Jeremy. So someone asked, what is available to eat the first night I move in?
So depending on which night you move in, it'll either be Fairhaven Commons or Fairhaven and Viking Commons. The information will be posted on Monday, but it'll be a selection of all you're care to eat in our dining halls. You can either choose to dine in or take out. For some of the move-in days, it's going to be takeout only.
Awesome, thank you. The next question will be going to Vicky. Is the Move-In app available to download on the phone, or is it just part of the WW website?
It's part of the WW website. It's not like an app that you would download, so you just want to go to that website, but it is accessible. It's mobile friendly, so you're welcome to pull up that website on your phone, but it's not an app that you download. Good question.
Awesome, and for the folks who don't know much about the Move-In app, can you explain more about that?
Yeah, so it's new this year. We're all excited about it, but it has all the information you need for move-in. So it has information on there about COVID-19 policies and procedures, so you can learn about our guest policy, our face covering policy, what our processes are for isolation and quarantine space. So we have you review those things and take a short quiz as part of that move-in application as well, just to make sure that you have that information. And then it also has a ton of information around your pre-arrival, so where to go to check in. Those maps that Liam was talking about will be on there as well. That process that Katie was referring to and summarized so well, that will be on the move-in application as well. So it has information about what to bring, what not to bring. So you definitely want to check that out before your arrival day. You can also sign up for a move-in time there. So we're asking that everybody signs up for a move-in time this year, just so we know when you're coming, and we can plan for that. So that's another big element of that move-in application as well.
Awesome, thank you so much. For the next question, we'll be going to Dave. What are the rules for having other students in the dorm room if we are wearing masks?
So right now for this year, our visitor guest policy is that only individuals that are living in that same building would be able to visit. So I want to make sure that this is the question that's being asked too. So on move-in though, we are allowing the 2 individuals that are helping you to come into the building. But beyond the move-in day, then it'll be just limited to the people within your own building that would be visiting. And if there is an emergency situation, there will be an online request to have a guest come. So that'll be on the housing website before we open. But we are going to be really restrictive on any visitations. And so those would be really just in emergency situations that would happen. So that we're clear, if someone's in another building and they want to visit you, they can come into the front lobby area and they can visit with you in the main lounge area in that lobby area, but they can't go up into the residential spaces at all or any other common spaces in the building.
Great, and can you talk more about the face mask policy for all residents?
Yeah, great. So the face mask policy is something that we'll be enforcing, that anytime you're outside of your room, you'll need to have that face mask on. So anytime that you're heading, walking through the building, in common spaces in the building, including if you're going to the restroom, you'll need to have the face mask on. Understandably, when you're taking a shower or using bathroom amenities that will require you to take the face mask down, that we understand will happen. But as you're going to and fro from there, that you definitely are going to want to have the face mask on. And then really anywhere on campus in any of the buildings where you'll be required to have a face mask on. And even when you're outside, you'll want to have it with you at all times in the event you're in a situation where physically the distance would require you to have it on. And that's really to make sure that we stay open and are able to do the best we can to create a safe environment for everyone.
Awesome, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Katie. So someone sent in, my wife and I plan to bring a younger sibling with us to move in. Will he need to wait in the car the entire time, or can he take turns with me or my wife going up to the dorm room so that we comply with the 2-person limit on helping with move-in?
Yeah, so anyone who is bringing more than 2 people with them to move in can go ahead and sort of tag team. So they can have someone stay at the car, but still no more than 2 of those visitors with them up in the room. And in the case of a younger sibling, they could trade with, parents or other visitors as they go so that they can see the room and help unpack as well. We do ask for the health and safety of younger and vulnerable populations that all visitors are age 13 or over. So that would be the only caveat on the younger sibling visitation.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have Vicky. So can you rent a refrigerator?
Yes and no. So we don't rent out refrigerators from university residences. However, we do have a new program this year that was created by 2 students who are sustainability reps, we call them. They're amazing. Their names are Hannah and Dora, and they worked really hard to put a residence hall reuse program together. So they collected fridges and different appliances from last year from anybody who was wanting to discard their mini fridge. So they have an inventory of all of those types of things, and it's free to reuse. There's a process in place that's on our website as well about how to look and see what inventory they have and what you can rent or what you can reuse, but it's all for free. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely encourage you to check out that program, especially if you don't want to buy a mini fridge just for the year. So new program, but we're really excited about it. So I encourage you to check that out.
Great, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Dave. So will family be allowed to help us move in all day? For example, could we leave and come back to get food, or if we need to pick up something from the store that we realize I may need once we've assessed the room?
Yeah, we definitely want to keep that open. I mean, again, I can't stress enough just making sure that we're taking precautions of physical distance and wearing masks. But believe me, again, having done this just a month ago, we understand that you're going to move in initially and then probably need to head to a store and pick up a few items or the grocery store. And so if you need to come back, we just ask that you continue to use the 2 people only going into the building at any given time, and just to respect. We'll also have things up with elevator use and things like that to limit the number of people that are using elevators and things like that as well. But yep, definitely okay.
One good strategy too, to add something, if you're taking multiple trips, and especially if you unload and then you're like, I just need to go get a snack and then I'm gonna go do a Target run and come back, is to go ahead and come back after regular move-in hours. So if you've already done your move-in time earlier that day and completed the regular process, you can come back after 5 p.m. and the unloading zones are still there. We do anticipate it'll be much less crowded at those hours, and that's actually a really good time for that second unload of whatever items you might have picked up that same day.
Awesome, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Jeremy. So can parents take food out too?
Yeah, parents are definitely allowed to purchase a meal as well, but it's 1 meal per entry in the dining hall per person. So if your parents are coming with you, they'd have to purchase meals as well.
And can you elaborate more on the to-go options?
Yeah, for to-go dining, it's going to be specific containers of different items that are in the dining hall, but you're able to take out the entire selection, not obviously every single item of it, but you can choose from anything that's in there to take out. There's no restriction on the type of item that can be taken out.
Awesome, thank you. Next up, we have Christian. Can we use tacks, tape, and/or small nails on dorm walls?
Yes and no. We definitely want you to make sure that you're putting things on the walls that aren't going to put permanent damage on the walls. So thumbtacks or 3M hooks or like sticky putty, like poster putties, all great. But if you are finding yourself like installing a shelf and drilling into the hole and putting like those wall bearing things on the wall, that's probably not good, because when you remove it, you're likely going to incur a fee or a charge to fix and paint the wall. So posters and that kind of thing, great, but not like if you're installing like shelves on walls.
And for things that don't weigh a whole lot, like posters, painter's tape works great, because it comes off very easy.
If you ask any of our housing staff, they will tell you that that coveted blue tape, you should definitely hang on to.
Awesome. For the next question, we'll be going to Vicky. So if I'm arriving to campus alone, will there be people there to help bring stuff up to the dorms?
Good question. So if you're arriving alone, we definitely, like, for example, you don't have to stay with your car. We'll have to work that out and figure out how to help you do that, since you're going to have to leave your car to move in your things. So work with staff members on that. But unfortunately this year we do not have volunteers. We usually have students and staff out in the outside helping students move in their things with those moving bins that Katie was talking about, and helping you unload your car. But with COVID-19 and health and safety precautions, we can't offer that this year. So definitely encourage you to ship your belongings if you're concerned, especially if you're alone. If you're arriving alone, that might be a good option. So you can have it shipped right to your residence hall and pick it up at the front desk, some of your items that way. But unfortunately, no, there's not help unloading your belongings this year.
Great, thank you. We'll be going to Liam for the next question. Are any more people moving in during the second quarter? Will we be notified if someone will be moving into our dorm?
That's a great question, Francis. And, you know, we are opening up single occupancy, but we do hope that our restrictions are able to ease, because that means that, you know, whether there's going to be a vaccine or there's some sort of advancement into this process. Obviously, safety is our number one concern, and we're not going to open up until we are ready and we are comfortable. Obviously, with the guidelines of the state and the CDC, we partner with our local and state health communities and officials constantly. And so if it is safe for us to open and reduce our occupancy, then we will. I'm sorry, not reduce our occupancy. If we can reduce our restrictions to occupancy, we will, because that is part of that living experience. And I think that Christian or Vicky would be great to talk about that's where we learn a lot about ourselves, is when we're able to live with someone else. But again, safety is our number one priority, and we're not going to open up unless we feel it's safe to.
Yeah, we always have requests, or we're getting a lot of requests now for folks to live together and for students to live together. So we'll definitely have options where you can meet other people, because I know that's the biggest concern for this quarter, or one of the biggest concerns is, how am I going to connect? How am I going to get to know somebody else if I don't have a roommate? So there will be programs, events, some of those that Christian was talking about earlier. Encourage you to attend those, your floor meeting. There's game nights, trivia nights, resource nights, Paint Bellingham Blue, new student convocations, so much going on those first few weeks. So definitely encourage you to take advantage of those. And then we do encourage you to leave your room too. Just because you're living in your own room doesn't mean you can't leave your room, interact with other people on your floor and within your community. Our floor lounges are open, or there's places to meet people outside the residence hall as well, and clubs and organizations on campus. But like Liam said, we will add roommates if we can in the future. We're just not sure right now, just based on health and safety guidelines.
Awesome, thank you so much. For the next question, we'll be going to Katie. If I have a parking permit, am I allowed to park in that specific lot on move-in day?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it depends on what lot you might have purchased a permit for. That's going to make a big difference. For example, if you did purchase a permit for the 3R lot, which is where North Campus Staging is at, you will be directed by parking to park elsewhere until after move-in is over. And then that lot will be opened back up for general parking. So overall, if, for any of those changes, do be watching your Western email for notifications from the parking office for any of those updates or differences in the parking options at move-in specifically. So that's always good to be checking your Western email. All the departments have tons of updates to send you. So do be watching that all the way up until move-in and through move-in, and on through your experience.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have Dave. What is the water quality like on campus? Would you suggest bringing a water filter?
Yeah, so we're connected to Bellingham City Water, which is a great water source. It's Lake Whatcom, which is a natural glacier-fed lake system. So we really do have a great water source. The reality is, though, is there's always piping and things like that. So we do test water, and if there's any alerts that come up or something happens, we'll let you know. The great thing is on campus, though, is there are ample water fountains, and we've been installing over the last 5 years those refillable drink stations too. So we always recommend that you bring at least, some students do bring filter systems. I don't think it's necessary, but it just depends on your preference. But certainly reusable water bottles to fill up at those refill stations is a really great idea.
Just to add on to that, Dave brings up a great point about we are so confident in our water. We actually had a few years ago, we made a pact that we banned all bottled water on campus, just because that is how confident we are in our water quality and our water supply.
Awesome, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Vicky. Do we have to take a COVID test on the day of move-in if we take one in the last 5 to 7 days?
Yeah, so you do have to take a COVID-19 test on the day of move-in. I haven't gotten one yet, but I have heard from our student health center that it's a really simple process. Takes a few seconds to do. It's just a quick swab through your nose, and then you're done. So pretty easy test there. But the reason for that is we want everybody to get tested, of course, that those days before move-in. And then the reason we're having you test again is because we're periodically testing throughout the entire quarter. So you'll be tested quite frequently, probably every 2 to 3 weeks. Closer to 2 weeks is what we're hoping, just to make sure we're maintaining health and safety of the community, making sure we're keeping you healthy and safe. So we're constantly monitoring COVID testing, and want to take action if anybody does test positive, to make sure that they can recover and get the medical attention they need. And then keep the community going and keep it thriving. So I know Christian just got a test, so I don't know if you want to talk about what that experience was like.
Yeah, something to add, it's really quick and simple, and it's not like the initial test that we saw a couple months ago. I call it the pokey brain one, where they like shove up like that really long swab. That's not what that is. It's like pretty much like a regular like swab, and they just swirl it in your nose, like your 2 nose holes. Words I can't think of. 2 nose holes, great. But yeah, it's really quick and simple, and you'll stay in your car and everything.
And can students get their COVID tests more than 7 days before move-in?
No, you cannot get your COVID test 7 days before move-in. It has to be 7 or less. So 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, all the way up to 7 days is good, but the 8th day is not. So the reason for that is we're trying to monitor as close to move-in as possible. And that was really the cutoff in terms of when you could get tested and get your results in on time to be able to move in. So you definitely want to check that. If you got tested 8 days before, you need to make sure you get another test before you arrive on campus.
Great, thank you. The next question will be going to Liam. Is it possible to see online how many people will be in the floor of my hall?
That's a good question. There is no way for you to see online how many people or who's available, but I am going to pass this question off to Christian, who can talk about some of the virtual meetings that you'll be able to connect with some of the folks on your floor and some of the social distancing opportunities, so that way you can get to know your floor better.
Sorry, I'm just chuckling myself that I said nose holes on this webinar. I'm really sorry. I cannot think of words, and it's past 5 o'clock. So my apologies. Yes, lots of online programs. I'll have to look at the calendar just because there's like a lot going on, but there's trivia nights, the Paint Beham Blue, your floor meeting. And those are just the initial ones that we're starting off with. And then I know we're partnering with like the Viking Union in a virtual capacity. So a lot of the events that we do in a traditional way, we're trying to make sure that we retain, but do it in a safe manner. And so I might actually shout out to Vicky to see if she has anything else that I missed to add.
Yeah, so there's going to be a ton of events. Like we've been saying, that the best place to go is the Western Involvement Network. So it's win.wwu.edu, and we're going to have you look into that, your first floor meeting, and pull that up on your phone. Your RA will have you do that just because it's such a great resource for events. But Christian's right, there's also info fairs, there's campus events going on that week, as well as your RA or your department advisor, your inclusion assistants will all be hosting events as well, a mix of virtual and in person in really small groups. So definitely look out for that. Check out WIN, and we'll get you connected right when you get here.
I think it's really important to mention too that we also will be having RAs reach out to residents this year too. And so they'll be having intentional connections with every resident. And I think that that is something we do normally, but I think we're putting much more of an emphasis on it this year too, knowing that, you know, students who are extroverted probably will go out and figure out how to meet people and do things, but some students who are a little more introverted and that may be a little less comfortable for them, the RA we're hoping will really be a big part of trying to still get people connected, because that is just an essential part of the college experience. And so we've spent a lot of time talking and training on that.
Awesome. And the next question will be going to you, Dave. For double rooms in Eden's Hall, are we stuck with the extra desk and bed, or can we store that elsewhere since we won't have roommates?
So there's all the furniture that comes in the room needs to stay in the room, and a big part for that is we don't have warehouse space to move and store all that furniture. So I would suggest being creative. Some things you may be able to take the other bed down and store that underneath the bed or off on the side. So get creative. I have also seen students who have maintained that furniture, and you really can figure out how to use it. And turn it into a sitting space or storage. So it's really an opportunity to get creative on how you're going to use what's in your room, but it does need to stay there.
Awesome. I remember my RA 2 years ago, since she lived alone in her dorm, she actually pushed the two beds together to make a double bed. So that's another life hack for all of you watching. But thank you for that. So the next question will be going to Katie. So how do we show the COVID test results during move-in?
Yeah, so for the test that you'll want to be taking prior to arrival on campus, we highly recommend that you follow the instructions and email those test results to the Student Health Center. That really makes the process go as fast as it can. If for some reason you get those super last minute and you aren't able to do that, get the document either electronically, or if you have the paper document, bring that with you. And the health officials from the Student Health Center can take a look at that on site to verify that. And then they will also test the student again on site as well in your car. So but we do really recommend that you get those emailed in at least one day prior to your arrival, because that will make the process go as fast as it can be. So.
Great, thank you. And this is for Vicky. So what are the options if we aren't able to make that timeline for testing?
So there's a few options. So you want to check out your local health department and see if you can get tested at home in your local county. Another option is to look in surrounding counties. So if you have a county close to you that you can drive to that's testing, you want to get tested there before you arrive. We really encourage you to get tested before you come to campus, just to make your experience better and make your move-in process more efficient, easier, faster as well. So another option, there's a financial component to this, so there's some barriers there, but If you can't get tested in your state or in your home county or your local area, you can come to Western or come to campus, come to Bellingham, get tested by our student health center on one of those move-in days, and then stay in a hotel locally for a couple days. So say you came on Thursday, next Thursday is their first move-in day, you could get tested by our student health center, stay locally here in Bellingham. You want to stay for 2 nights because the test results can take up to 48 hours to come back. They've been coming back more quickly in 24, but 48 is the longer end. So you want to stay for 2 nights, and then you'd be able to move in after that when your test results come back negative. So that's another option. The last option is if you can't get a hotel room, that's not an option for you, and you cannot get tested at home, then please contact us and we can see what we can do to either have you move in later or work out another solution that would be best. So we'll be contacting you as well if you don't reach out, but we encourage you to reach out to us first. So you can email us at reslife, it's RESLIFE at wwu.edu, and we can coordinate that and make sure that you're moved in. So please, if you have questions about that or some barriers there, please contact us. The last option is if you absolutely cannot get tested, you can come and self-isolate in your room. We're just not encouraging that because you have to stay in your room, you cannot leave. So it makes it a little challenging for when you first come. So we really want you to get tested before your arrival.
Awesome. And do you count the day you take the test when thinking about the timeline?
Yes, yeah, you want to count that day that you took the test. The closer to move in, the better. So if you can get tested 5 days before and then get your results and move in, that's perfect. But yeah, you want to count that day that you take the test.
Great, thank you. We'll be going to Dave for the next question. When will we be assigned a shower and time? I am coming on the 3rd day. Will it be on a first come, first serve basis?
And I might see if Christian or Vicky actually know a little bit. I know that we're doing shower schedules and assigning those, but they'll know a little bit more about the details.
Yes, so the answer is yes, it will be on a first come, first serve basis because those arriving on Thursday will inevitably need to shower that same day or the next morning. And so we'll need to already start creating that schedule. However, I have worked directly with the resident directors of like Nash and Mathis and Edens North who are making those template schedules. And there's a lot more, like for instance, like the 9 people sharing, or the 18 people sharing the floor, like there's enough slots in wiggle room that I think we can make it work. And just because you're slotted that time doesn't mean that's your shower time for all infinity. Like I'm sure you'll be able to like swap times with other people as long as it works and all of that. So yeah.
Great, thank you. Next up, we'll be going back to Vicky for this question. So if the outbreak somehow gets worse and there won't be enough isolation spaces, would we be asked to be sent home? If so, would there be any refunds at all?
Yeah, so the second part of that question is really easy, so I can start with that. But yes, if students are asked to go home, or we'll never close housing, I don't think, unless the governor of the state mandates that. But we did not close last spring when the pandemic started. We still had students living with us who needed a place to stay and who needed to be here. So please know that. But if students are asked to leave, then we will prorate your housing and refund anything that you, so we'll charge you for the days that you stayed with us, but we'll refund anything else. So we'll definitely give you your money back there for your room and board. And then the other piece of that, in terms of isolation, quarantine space, and will that happen if an outbreak happens on campus or Bellingham or the state? We don't know. It's a hard thing to answer just because we're always monitoring health and safety guidelines. So the university is planning for that if the virus gets worse or there's a massive increase in cases, then we have plans, contingency plans for when that happens. But we'll make decisions about that based on health and safety guidelines. We get directives from and guidance from our student health center, from local and state health agencies, from Whatcom County. So we'll make decisions from there, but we have a lot of isolation space open, a lot of space to be able to place students and make sure students have a place to stay. We're also constantly, everything's changing all the time. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard there's recommendations coming out to not send students home from colleges and universities, especially if they're tested positive, because then they can go home and possibly pass the virus to family or others in their home. So we're constantly monitoring those recommendations, and we'll make those decisions based on health and safety of our students and our community.
Awesome. And then going a little bit more into COVID testing. So someone asked, if my move-in date is next Thursday and I get tested today, am I okay?
So next Thursday and you get tested today. Yes, you are good. Yep.
If I can clarify, I think that always gets confusing. And so easiest way to do it is just take the date of your move-in and subtract 7. And if you're within that time frame, then you're good. But if you're on like 8, then no, that's not good. So just take your move-in date, subtract 7, and you're within that window. So it's always confusing, like, do we count that day versus this day? But we're really looking at the 24 hours before as like one day. So maybe just like that might be helpful.
Awesome, thank you. And the next question will actually be going back to you, Christian. So when should I be getting my books for class?
Yeah, so I had a feeling it was coming, so I looked it up on the bookstore website. So definitely go to bookstore.wwu.edu. And it does say on the website that they are not going to be open as of right now. They're not going to be open for service, but they are doing online processing ordering from Monday through Friday, and that they are shipping books to you at a reduced rate of $10. And so definitely always look on that website. The things can change, but at this moment, it's not a bookstore, a physical bookstore you can enter and pick out your textbook materials. You'll need to do that online.
Awesome, thank you. Next up, we have Jeremy. So can you talk about how a person with food allergies navigates the dining halls?
Sure. So all of our entrees and all of our stations have signage that identifies the 8 most common allergens. They also list the ingredients that are in all the recipes. All of our locations are staffed with chef managers, food service directors, and supervisors that are trained by ServSafe on allergen procedures. So they're able to answer all of your questions for specific diets to help you navigate your way through. But most people are able to navigate independently. If you have very specific needs or requirements, we have a campus executive chef who can walk you through and help set up a personalized program.
Great, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Liam. So someone sent in, I'm in a suite with one other person. We each have our own room. If capacity increases later in the year, could the 2 of us move into one of the rooms of our suite and leave the other room for the new students?
That's a great question. So we don't quite know what room selection is going to look like in winter quarter. I can promise you that we're going to do our very best to get people in their preferred locations with their preferred roommates. Likely in that scenario, I would say you have a pretty good chance of just hopping over into the room right across the suite. But again, we'll know more about that room selection process more when winter quarter comes.
Awesome. Next up, we have Dave. So someone asked, are you going to prevent sick students from coming home?
Are we going to prevent sick students from coming home? I don't know that we can prevent that. Students are going to be able to make choices, and along with hopefully their family members at home, to make the best choices for them. So unless Vicky or someone wants to jump in, yeah, I don't think that's something that we can prevent. As Vicky had mentioned, is what we are hearing now is some of the best recommendations now is to not send students home to try to prevent spread of illness, but that really is a decision that would be made best by the student and their family members.
Great, thank you. We'll be going to Vicky for the next question. So someone asked, what is the plan for after Thanksgiving break so far in regards to coming back to campus if they go home?
Yeah, so we're open after Thanksgiving break. So you're welcome to come back. You're welcome to stay home. It's really up to you. So we're fully open, meaning our staff will be here, our student staff, our professional staff, our dining halls will be open. So it's really personal choice, up to you. We'll be open though, unless something changes, but we're not planning anything now in terms of we won't be closed. So all those services that you would normally have for housing and dining will continue.
Awesome. And can you talk more about testing throughout the year?
Sure. So testing throughout the year. So that first test you'll get, well, your pre-move-in test you'll get at home or locally where you are, and then you'll get tested right on that move-in day. But then after that, you'll be tested about every 2 weeks. We're still confirming that it's between 2 and 3 weeks. So you'll get tested in basically in groups. So you'll get tested individually. Basically what will happen is every day you're gonna fill out a health survey on your phone or on a computer. It's web-based. So the Student Health Center will send that out. All students on campus who have an on-campus presence, so if they're going to class or if they live on campus or have a reason to be on campus for some reason, have to fill out that health survey every day. It's really quick. It's just to basically survey your symptoms if you have any symptoms for COVID-19, and if you do, our Student Health Center will reach out and make sure that you have medical attention and that you're able to recover from that and get tested, make sure that you don't have COVID-19, and if you do, that you're able to recover well. So what testing will look like is you'll get a notification through that survey. So it will tell you once you complete it, about every 2 weeks or so, it will tell you, okay, it's time to get a test. You'll see it on it's on your phone, you'll see a yellow badge. So if you see green, it means you're good to go. If you see yellow, it means, okay, I need to schedule a test. And then it will schedule a test for you with our Student Health Center. It's gonna be at Fraser Hall. It's a building right here on campus that you can easily access. So you'll get tested by a Student Health Center. We're testing in groups of 10. So basically it's groups that you live with. So people that you interact with frequently on your floor based on where you live is the group that you'll be tested with. And then if somebody tests positive within that group, then we'll test all of those folks individually to see who was tested positive so we can take action from there. But you'll, like I said, you'll get notified when you need a test, when your test is overdue, and the Student Health Center will schedule that appointment for you.
Awesome. And if a student tests positive for COVID, will they be allowed to go back into their room to pack for isolation?
Good question. Yes, we have a whole process you'll definitely learn more about when you arrive. If you do happen to be tested positive for COVID-19, then you do have to relocate from your residence hall to an isolation space right here on campus. We already have those identified, but you do have time to pack your things. We ask that you pack for 14 days. So clothes, things to do, your books to study and continue with your classes if you're able to. So we'll give you time to pack and then provide some assistance to get you over to that isolation space as well.
And then can you also talk more about where the students with COVID will live, and then the special location where they'll be moved to if there's any symptoms or positive test results?
Yeah, so we have designated residence halls already identified for that. It's in a specific area of campus that we'll show you when you arrive. So there's plenty of rooms, a lot of space, and we'll make sure that you have that information when you come to campus. But it's their residence halls, like your residence hall that you would live in, provides the same amenities. It has, bed, dresser, all of the things that come in your room. It'll also come with a linen pack, so you have sheets and a pillow, and a little care package as well. So it's kind of a little bit more like a hotel than a residence hall, but it's in a residence hall.
Great, thank you so much. For the next question, we'll be going to Christian. What will the club fair look like this year, and when will it be?
Yeah, so for context for our new students, we typically host a Red Square Info Fair. It's an info fair, club fair, about 300 different organizations on campus are in Red Square, which is kind of our quad area. Because of COVID, we need to do that virtually. It's going to be through WIN, the Western Involvement Network, which is win.wwu.edu. And I've actually taken a preview of that. It's actually really cool. So each table will be a virtual table and have a card. And when you click on that card, you can read information. And depending on the club or the organization, they might actually have a link to like a Teams, virtual Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting in which you can see, do some virtual face-to-face and do some interaction in that capacity. So I'm really excited to see it. And this year it's gonna be on Monday and Tuesday after move-in weekend. So the Monday and Tuesday before classes, which is Monday, September 21 and Tuesday, September 22nd, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Awesome, thank you. Next up, we have Dave. So can parents walk around campus after move-in hours for a little bit, but not in dorms to see campus?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really would recommend that. I mean, we really do have a beautiful campus. And if you've been here before but haven't been here for a while, we have some new buildings being constructed. There's some that have been constructed in the last 5 years. And so it really is a beautiful campus, including there's an arboretum too that you can walk through. We just ask again that you bring a mask with you so that if you're in a situation and have to physically distance yourself, that you would put the mask on. But please enjoy.
Great. And for the next question, we'll be going to Jeremy. So how will food work for those that are in the isolation or quarantine buildings since they can't leave their building?
Sure. So when you're notified that you need to go to isolation or quarantine, you'll have an information packet that comes with that. Part of that is going to be a link to a dining form. When you go to the dining form, you're going to select whether you want to have 1 or 2 meals delivered a day with the option of a 3rd snack bag delivered. It's part of your meal plan, so you can select what level you want to have. Options will be a protein meal, a vegan meal, a vegetarian meal, or an allergy meal, and you can specify the allergies that you have in there. Once you do go into isolation or quarantine and you've selected, you want to have lunch every day and that's it, that'll be what you have at that point. You're able to change that, but not on a daily basis. The meals will then be handed directly to your door, not to the individual in the room.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have Liam. So if we purchase the books from the bookstore, should we have them shipped to our dorms since there's not a pickup option?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would recommend reaching out to the bookstore, AS Bookstore. They're amazing. We partner with them often. They have amazing gear too, which I definitely check out. Picking up your Western gear. But I don't know about if you should get it shipped. Do reach out. That's bookstore.wwu.edu.
Something to add about the bookstore is in your welcome bags, we got you all 10% off coupons for Western apparel. So that's going to be in your welcome bag. So definitely look out for that when you move in.
Awesome. For the next question, we'll be going to Katie. So would you recommend staying in your room while people unload? I am thinking about hiking in the Arb, but I don't know if I would want to hike for more than 5 hours.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Overall, we want you to social distance how you feel comfortable. So for some folks, that's going to be maybe leaving the building for a while, get out in the fresh air, go for a hike in the arboretum that's right next to campus. For others, that can be just staying in your room, and especially if you have a suite mate that's moving in and will likely be bringing in their 2 family members to help them set up their room, just to maintain that social distance from them, and also maintain that social distance in the hallways. This is one of the reasons why we are only wanting to allow 2 people per student to unload, to also be respectful of the students that have already arrived and need to maintain social distance because that's their home now and they're trying to get settled in. So overall, just how you feel comfortable, but be sure to social distance. And if it's nice, try to get out and look around campus and hike around if you want to, because it's a pretty place. And if you haven't visited much before, there's a lot to see. So.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Vicky. So are there any areas of Wilson Library open for studying at this time?
So as far as we know, Wilson Library will be closed for the academic year, but there is some options for curbside pickup and other options to get materials and books from there. I know we keep saying check out departments' websites, but you want to go, you want to check out the library's website, and they'll have more information on there too. But the building itself, at least for fall quarter, will be closed.
Great, thank you. For the next question, we'll be going to Christian. So if a student were to get COVID-19, when they move to the quarantine space, will they have to move all of their personal belongings like mini fridges, microwaves, and more, or can they leave it in their room?
They can definitely take it in their room, or sorry, they can definitely leave most of their belongings in their room. We are recommending just take what you need as you stay temporarily in that isolation or quarantine space. And so, yeah, you don't need to empty out your entire room. You can leave most of your belongings in there. Just take what you need.
Awesome, thank you so much. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. Once again, thank you to all the panelists that have joined us today and for all of you who have tuned in. So if you need any of the questions or answers that were featured today, feel free to check out the housing website at housing.wwu.edu. Other than that, have a great day, have a great fall, and don't forget to mask up.